ते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So today is a special class on appearance of Lord Balarama. So we'll chant a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 13th verse. Garbha sankarsanatam vai Prabhu sankarshanam bhubi Rameti loka ramanad Balabhadram balocharyad. Garbha sankarsanatam vai Prabhu sankarshanam bhuvi Rameti loka ramanad Balabhadram balocharyad. Garbha sankarshanat tambai Prabhu sankarshanam bhuvi Rameti loka ramanad Balabhadram balocharyad. Garbha sankarsanatam vai Prahu sankarshanam bhuvi Rameti lokaramana Balabhadram balocharyad. Garbha sankarsanatam vai Prahu sankarshanam bhuvi Rameti lokaramana Balabhadram balocharyad. Synonyms: Garbha sankarshanat, because he will be taken from the womb of Devaki to that of Rohini. Tam, him, Rohini Nandan, the son of Rohini. Vai, indeed, Prahu, people will call. Sankarshanam, by the name Sankarshana. Bhuvi, in the world. Rama iti, he will also be called Rama. Lokaramanat, because of his special mercy in enabling people in general to become devotees. Balabhadram, he will also be called Balabhadra. Bala Ucharyat, because of extensive bodily strength. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Sankarshana because of being sent from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. He will be called Rama because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokula. He will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Purport by, translation with repetition. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Sankarshana because of being sent from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. He will be called Rama because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokula. And he will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. These are some of the reasons why Balaram is known as Sankarshana. Balaram or sometimes Rama. In the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People sometimes object when Ram is accepted as Balaram. But although devotees of Lord Ram may object, they should know that there is no difference between Balaram and Lord Ram. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that Balaram is also known as Rama, Rameti. Therefore, it is not artificial for us to speak of Lord Balaram as Lord Ram. Jayadev Goswami also speaks of three Rams, Parshuram, Raghupati Ram and Balaram. All of them are Rams. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Branda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today, Sunday morning, we are having a special discussion on Sri Balaram on the account of his appearance tomorrow, which is celebrated as Balaram Jayanti or Balaram Purnima. So it's very interesting to understand why the Lord appears. Unlike all of us who take birth in this material world and are subject to birth, death, old age and disease, the Lord is not subject to all of those. Then why does the Lord appear? The only reason why the Lord appears in this material world is to deliver the conditioned living entities like us. There is no other reason. There is no other reason to come to this place, which the Lord Himself declares in Bhagavad Gita as Dukkhalayam Asasvatam. Even for us, material world is so miserable. Why the Lord has to come here? No reason. Our state of being is so unfortunate and so precarious, which we were seeing yesterday. when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatan Goswami. It's not here. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatan Goswami, when Sanatan Goswami asked this question, who am I? Ke ami, keno amai jarai tapatroy. So it's a very interesting verse where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs and says, Sanatan Goswami, why we are suffering in this material world. So we saw this yesterday, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declares our precarious position. It's very interesting to know how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains who we are, how do we come into this material world, and how we are put into this state of forgetfulness. And how the Lord, who is so compassionate, so merciful, and so much caring, that He comes time and again. He sends His devotees, He sends His eternal associates. But the Nitya-baddha Jiva, or the eternally conditioned living entity, the eternally bound living entity, doesn't get this. We are having this discussion on Jhulan for last so many days. We've been talking about the instructions of the 6 Goswamis. We hear this. How long it stays? We heard it yesterday. If I ask question again today about what we heard, how it was, we don't remember. We get that inspiration momentarily, but because we are eternally conditioned, this doesn't stay. Again we go back to our old habits. That's why eternally conditioned, Nitya-baddha we are. And for the Nitya-baddha Jiva to come out of this material world is not easy at all. Very, very difficult. That is why Balaram plays a very significant role. What role he plays and what he does in our life is just amazing. Now imagine, Sneha Mataji, I ask you to go and get some jackfruits, from the market. So I'll tell that Badri is going to prepare jackfruit biryani. We need jackfruits, and so you have to get jackfruits from the market. Unlike, maybe the situation can be better visualized. Instead of America, if it is India. So you have a choice of bringing the whole jackfruit, or you have a choice of going to a place and asking the shopkeeper, you cut it so that he removes all those unwanted things and then gives you the thing which can be used in the biryani, so that you don't, or he doesn't have to get into the trouble of removing all that. And the third option is where you have everything removed and put it in a very nice ziplock or something and you get that thing. For some reason you selected the second option. You go to the shopkeeper, you ask him, cut, I want to see how it is inside. So the shopkeeper cuts open the jackfruit and he removes it, and he's, it's very sticky, so he's having some oil in his hand. He removed everything and he kept aside the real ones, the one which has got the seed, and the other unwanted things in one side. But you looked at both the things and you thought, this looks big, so much, right? So you weighed that and you brought that and gave it to Badri for cooking jackfruit biryani. You've done a big blunder, isn't it? So like that, the Vedic scriptures are vast. Sometimes people get caught in the details and miss out the essence, the sara. Vedaischa sarver ahameva vedyam. Krishna says, of all the Vedas, I am to be known. But sometimes people get busy in some karma kanda, some jnana kanda, some this thing and that thing. And that, an acharya like Srila Prabhupada knows very well what is the essence, and they reveal it to us. How can they reveal it to us? Because they are empowered. Like the way yesterday we were seeing, or day before yesterday. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. What is there in the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord, that is known to Rupa Goswami? Sthapitam Yena Bhutale. And he's trying to establish that. Same thing Srila Prabhupada also knows what is the essence of the Vedic scriptures. Otherwise, people like us, anyway, we have no interest. We are busy in our own material world, strong, deep conditioning attached to this body, bodily concept of life. And it is so strong to cut the shackle of this, the bandhan, is so difficult to cut, almost impossible. It's like somebody who's a thief. He doesn't want to follow the rules and regulations. Whatever rules and regulations you say, he'll find how to, bypass that or take some shortcut. He doesn't like. Same holds true for us. We don't want to follow the injunctions of the scriptures. Nitya Baddha. We are eternally conditioned. Mind wants to go to the body, bodily expansions, attached in that Grahanda Kupa. We are reading 16th chapter Bhagavad Gita in the morning when we are chanting these slokas. Yas sastra viddhim utsrajya vartate kamakaratah na sasiddhim avapnoti na sukham na paramgati. Yas sastra viddhim utsrajya. People like us who are eternally conditioned always reject the scriptural injunctions. Not palatable. We can't even hear. We don't realize what is the real benefit lies in this. We have zero understanding. And we accept bodies after bodies, strongly conditioned. Yasastra viddhim utsrajya vartate kamakarata. Why do we work? Because there is a desire to gratify our senses. Kamakarata. That is the inspiration, that is the trigger. Vartate kamakarata nasasiddhim avapnoti. No perfection is attained. Na sukham na paramgati. No happiness, no higher destination. That's how we are conditioned and we are continuing in this material world. So Krishna sends Balaram and his representative, Guru Tattva. You see, sometimes people ask us, your Acharya, you are talking so much about Srila Prabhupada, but he also took birth in West Bengal, in a place, Calcutta, had to go through so much of suffering. He was a Gandhian, he was a freedom fighter and all those things. At the age of 70, he took the cargo ship. If he was a pure devotee, why he had to go through all these things? He could have done it, without any struggle. Why did he have to go through all these things? So actually what happens, we don't understand that a pure devotee is not to be seen physically. We have to see the Sakti, not the Vyakti, not the person. You see the energy that he was carrying. For example, if a police officer comes here, right? He's sneezing, maybe somebody will come. If a police officer walks in and for some reason he has to arrest someone, okay, maybe his name is Jack, Tom, whatever Wells, whatever it is. The name is not so important because he's wearing that uniform, he's empowered. He has the power to take anyone from here and arrest. Similarly, Guru is a Tattva. It's not about one person. Guru Tattva, to visualize, to understand, this is a representative of Balaram, Srila Prabhupada. No, don't go by the externals. 70, this thing, that thing, struggle. Those are all meant to make his pastimes more inspiring for conditioned souls. But the empowerment was there. In just a matter of 11 years, he could transform people's lives. That Sakti, they carry that Sakti, that Bala, which is needed for conditioned souls like us. Conditioned souls like us are perpetually, eternally struggling in this material world. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in his instructions to this Sanatana Goswami, when he asked this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that there is Swamsa and Bibhinnamsa, Rupe Hane Vistara, Ananta Vaikuntha Brahmande Karena Bihara. I'll just increase the font a little bit. Swamsa and Bibhinamsa, the Lord expands. Because before the creation, only the Lord was existing. But the Lord wanted to have some rasa, some exchange of mellows, and he expanded himself. How did he expand? Two ways, Swamsa and Bibhinamsa. Swamsa and Bibhinamsa rupe hane vistara ananta vaikuntha brahmande karena vihara. Krishna expands himself in many forms. Some of them are personal expansions, some are separate expansions. Swamsa, Bibhinamsa. Just two types of expansions. Thus he performs pastimes in both the spiritual and the material worlds. The spiritual worlds are the Vaikuntha planets, and the material universes are the Brahmandas, gigantic globes governed by Lord Brahma. Actually, why this material world is created? Why some of us are suffering here? Why? So this is explained by Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, Swamsa and Bibhinamsa. So there is something which is personal expansion, some are separate expansions. Swamsa Vistara Chaturbihva Avatara Gana Bibhinamsa Jiva Tanara Saktite Ganana. So expansions of his personal self, like the quadruple manifestation of Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Vasudev, descend as incarnations from Vaikuntha to this material world. The separated expansions are the living entities. Although they are expansions of Krishna, they are counted among his different potencies. So there are quadruple expansions which are coming to maintain this material world. So much of huge arrangement is needed. Of course, Krishna just creates this and puts it in an auto mode and things go on. But why this is created? Because of the fundamental desire. Somehow, when Krishna expanded, some of us, we didn't want to serve him. We wanted to be separate. And we wanted to be independent. We wanted to become enjoyer. We wanted to be in this world where we can be the controller. And a separate arrangement is created where we are put into this kind of a situation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that, Sai Vibhinnamsa Jiva Duita Prakar Eka Nitya Mukta Eka Nitya Samsar. So Swamsas are the personal expansions of the Lord, non-different from Krishna. And the first expansion is Balaram. But there are Bibhinnamsa, which are the Jivas. They are of two types. They are Nitya Mukta and they are Nitya Samsara. Say Bibhinnamsa Jiva Duita Prakar Ek Nitya Mukta Ek Nitya Samsara. Nitya means eternally. Since when we are here, we have no idea. And since how long we will do, that is up to us. The choice is there. But we really don't have complete control because we have got so much of conditioning and so much of weakness in the heart. The living entities are divided into two categories. Some are eternally liberated, others are eternally conditioned. Eternally conditioned are people like us. We hear, we get in touch, still we don't get that urgency. Still we don't get this thing. The moment we step out, things look different. Oh, my house, my family, my relatives, my goals, my aspirations, my mamata, aham mameti, my father, my brother, my sister, my mother, my wife, my husband. And we think this is what it is. Nitya Mukta Nitya Krishnera Charana Unmukha. Krishna Parisada Nama Bhunje Seva Sukha. Who is the Nitya Mukta? Those who are eternally liberated are always awake to Krishna consciousness and they render transcendental loving service at the feet of. They are always awake. They are always awake to that. And they are rendering loving service to the feet of Krishna. They are to be considered eternal associates of Krishna. And they are eternally enjoying the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. And then the Nitya Bandha, Krishna Haite Nitya Bahirmukha. Yesterday I was telling Nitya Bandha and Nitya Bahirmukha. We are eternally conditioned, eternally bound, and eternally we have turned our face away from Krishna. Nitya Bandha Krishna Haite Nitya Bahirmukha. Nitya Samsara Bhunje Narakadi Dukkha. Nitya Samsara Bhunje Narakadi Dukkha. Apart from the ever-liberated devotees, there are the conditioned souls who always turn away from the service of the Lord. They are perpetually conditioned in this material world and are subjected to the material tribulations brought about by different bodily forms and hellish conditions. Perpetually conditioned, accepting different bodily forms and going through this motion of life. This is what our story is. Why we are like that? He explains further. से दोषे माया पिसाची दंड करे तारे आध्यात्मिकादि तापत्रय तारे जारी मारे. Due to his being opposed to Krishna consciousness, the moment you turn away from Krishna, the moment you break one law here, you are a bona fide citizen of the country. You are supposed to abide by the laws of the city, by the country. Moment you break one law, you violate, the signal or something, there is going to be a police who is going to catch you. Due to his being opposed to Krishna consciousness, the moment it is opposing to Krishna consciousness, conditioned soul is punished by the witch of the external energy mind, immediately captures. He is thus ready to suffer the threefold miseries. Miseries brought about by the body and mind, the inimical behavior of other living entities, and natural disturbances caused by the demigods, Adhyatmik, Adidaivik, and Adibhautik. We are subject to this. Miseries because of our own body and mind, miseries because of other living entities, miseries because of the natural disturbances caused by the demigods. And then this verse, as I was telling yesterday, very, very important, where we understand the role of Balaram or his representative. Kama Krodhera Das. Kama Krodhera Das, Hana Tara Lathi Khaye, Brahmite Yadi Sadhu Vaidya Paye, Tanara Upades Mantre Pisachi Palaye, Krishna Bhakti Paye, Tabe Krishna Nikatayaye. Kama Krodhera Das. So the witch of Maya, when it captures us, we become servants of Kama Krodha. Kama Krodhera Das, Hana Tara Lathi Khaye. And we get beaten up when we don't do our services properly, when we are not serving Kama and Krodha, we are beaten up by Maya. Kama Krodhera Das, Hana Tara Lathi Khaye, Brahmite Yadi Sadhu Vaidya Paye. Somewhere wandering here, there, in this body, that body, from this planet, that planet, entering into this mother's home, another mother, this family, that family. Yadi Sadhu Vaidya Paye. If somehow he comes in touch with that physician, the Sadhu Vaidya, Tanaro Upades Mantre, when we get the Upades, the instruction in the form of this mantra, because mantra works for this Pisachi. Tanaro Upades Mantre Pishachi Palay. Krishna Bhakti Paye, Tabe Krishna Nikatayay. Krishna Bhakti, when you develop Krishna Bhakti in the heart, you become closer to Krishna. Krishna Nikatayay. This is the sum and substance. This is the thing which we have to understand fully. The Lord himself is explaining this to Sanatana Goswami. Our conditioned living entity, how we are eternally conditioned, and how we are naturally averse to Krishna consciousness, naturally. And even if we take up to this process of Krishna consciousness, still there is Hridaya Daurbalyam. There is weakness in the heart. We are conditioned, we are tuned in one way, we are brought up in particular way where we are naturally affectionate towards material things, material objects, material relationships. Though they are temporary, we think, no, isi mein hai. There is some, yesterday we were reading that book, Elevation to Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada gives one example. Instead of cane sugar, cane stick, if somebody puts a bamboo in that machine and expects some juice to come out, nothing is going to come. Same happens to us. In this material world, we struggle, can't understand each other, expect eternal happiness and this thing in our relationships, die in that way, helplessly, again accept another body and continue this. Yet we don't take up to this process. So that is where the role of Balaram becomes very significant. There are beautiful description of who Balaram is, Balaram Tattva, but we don't have so much of time. We can't get this. But at least if you get little, if you hear. Actually, the whole idea about any festival is to hear the nectar of Krishna and in his incarnations, pastimes. Any incarnation, it says nectar. The more we absorb, the more we develop a taste for this, the more the material things become, we understand the reality of the material world and we will become averse. But the less we are attracted, then the more we are attracted. The heart has to be filled with some things. If the heart is not filled with spiritual topics, if the heart is not naturally getting attracted to spiritual uh, subject matter, naturally it will go to material things. Sometimes we say, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaro, right? We have to think of Krishna. For us, it is a challenge. Think of Krishna. I mean, acha, if we are not sitting here, we are somewhere else. Okay, can you describe the form of Krishna? What you saw today? What alankar he was wearing? What was the color of the bracelet? What garland he is wearing? What turban he is wearing? Very difficult. But you talk about Vishaya, or naturally we are attracted. About money, about women, about some sense gratificatory objects, immediately mind goes. You don't have to think about it. Automatically it is drawn. Krishna, no. Forget about having Krishna in the heart. Even in our mind to get manmana also is not easy. But a pure devotee, for them to think about Vishaya is a difficult thing. Like for us, thinking about Krishna is difficult. For them, thinking about Vishaya is, what is some sense? They have to forcibly, they have to think. They're always absorbed, Nitya Mukta. And such Nitya Mukta associates of the Lord are sent by the Lord for our benefits, to take us away. Ajao, either don't get stuck. Don't remain here. No. My husband, my wife, so much enjoyment. Like that Indra story. We are stuck here. The word weakness of heart is something which is to be understood, and that is why another name of Balaram is Haladhara. Haladhara is he's holding the plough. A plough is used to plough the field. So our heart, because of the weakness of heart, actually we chant the mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are praying to Radharani, who's the best servant of Krishna. You see in ISKCON, if you go, you see Radharani's deity. Most of the times she'll be like this. I mean, the mood is always to serve. The mood is always think of Krishna's pleasure. That she is an embodiment of that. The best. She wants everybody to come and engage in Krishna's service for Krishna's pleasure. But we, being conditioned, we don't want Krishna's pleasure. We are only looking our own sense gratification, our own pleasure, and we're busy. This way, this thing, that thing. That is where Balaram comes. Balaram comes and removes by that plough all those anarthas which are there, which are holding us in this material world, giving us this hope that we can enjoy perpetually. He removes those anarthas, makes our heart conducive for the bhakti to sprout. The whole purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam, why it has come about, which Vedavyas mentions, is Anartha upasamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaje lokasya ajananto vidvams chakre satvata samhita. Anartha upasamam sakshat. These anarthas are deep within, these miseries that we are going through in the name of enjoying this material world. So much of miseries. Anartha upasamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaje. Then we can, upasamam, this anarthas can be completely mitigated by engaging in devotional service of the Lord. Lokasya ajananto vidvams. People don't know chakre satvata samhita. So that's why he has compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about, in the 2nd chapter, 3rd verse, Krishna says, Klaivyam masma gamah partha, shudram hridaya daurbalyam. Klaivyam masma gamah partha. Where does this impurities have come about? Shudram hridaya daurbalyam, the weakness of heart. What is the next two lines? Klaivyam masma gamah partha. Then Tyaktva parantapa. What is the third line? Oh, Naitatva Upapatti. Klaivyam Masma Gama Partha Naitat. This is not befitting. Klaivyam Masma Gama Partha Naitatva Upapadyate. Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Tyaktvotishtha Parantapa. If you are really serious about knowing what is the weakness of heart, Prabhupada explains this in the last verse of 15th chapter. Very interesting actually, good to know this. 15th chapter, 20th verse if you see. Iti guhyatamam sastram idam uktam maya nagha etam buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. The word that Krishna uses in this verse for Arjuna is called anagha. Iti guhyatamam sastram idam uktam maya anagha. Maya, by me, this is the most confidential knowledge revealed by me to you, O Arjuna. Instead of Arjuna, he is telling anagha, O sinless one. Etad buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. Whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. In the purport, it's a long purport but very interesting purport. In the purport, Prabhupada actually mentions the word anagha by which Arjuna is addressed is significant. Anagha means sinless one. Means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. Like if there is a room which is like in a hospital, which is a clean room, you just can't go in a contaminated state. Even when they have to put an injection, they clean that surface with some alcohol or whatever that thing it is. They clean it and then they apply it. The syringe is always protected with a cover. The cover has to be removed and then it is applied. Similarly, with a contaminated heart, with a sinful tendency, we can't approach the Lord. That is why Prabhupada is saying the words anagha is very important here. Means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. One has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities, then he can understand. But devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. Devotional service, however, is so pure and potent. That's what Prabhupada is writing. But then immediately after that, he is saying, while performing devotional service, in the association of devotees, in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. Even though we are performing devotional service in association of devotees, in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which need to be vanquished completely. And what are those things? The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. So what is this Hridaya Daurbalyam? What is this weakness of the heart? The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. First fall down is caused by, so in association of devotees, when the anarthas manifest, first thing is a strong desire to control others. First weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. I can't lord over material nature. Now I'm in association of devotees, I lord over these devotees. Somehow or other, I don't want to accept my mistake. I justify that. I don't see that there is a scope for improvement for me here. I want to enjoy that rasa of controlling. That's the first fall down. Wherever you see there is any disagreement or there is a quarrel, there is a dissension between devotees, somewhere or other the false ego has come into picture. The identity of being Krishna's servant is forgotten. And both the parties, somewhere or other, are trying to lord over. The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. In Bhagavatam, if we read Krishna book, there is a place where Balarama actually uses his plow to pull river Yamuna. This river Yamuna was not listening. So he is using the plow to pull river Yamuna. Immediately Yamuna Devi comes and asks for forgiveness. O Ram, O Balaram, I was not aware of your strength. I was not aware of your position. Please forgive me. That is needed. But we are so conditioned, we are so attached. This is the weakness of the heart. We don't want to give up. We want to fight. We want to do something. It's lording over. And that is the first fall down. The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. Thus one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. And the second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity of lording it over, he becomes attached to matter and the possessions of matter. These are linked. The more you develop this lording over tendency, the more you will become attached to matter and material possessions. Because you are getting away from Krishna. The second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity of lording it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and the possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. Balaram comes to remove these weaknesses of heart. Guru's instructions are the only weapon, like I was telling yesterday, the only weapon to cut this. There's no other way. Otherwise, we want to be in our so-called comfort zone. We think what we are doing is correct. We are convinced 100% about it. We don't want to change. We don't want corrections. We're not able to take it even. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. Though Radharani wants devotees to come and join her, help her, assist her in service, he feels he is not the best. He is the lowest, though she is the best. But we can't go because we have got these weaknesses of heart. And that's where Balaram comes and plays this role. There is a song that we sing on Nityananda Trayodasi. In that there is one line comes, Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala. In that there is one line which comes, Heno Nitai Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paitenai. Dridho Kari Dhare Nitai Rapai. Heno Nitai Bine Bhai. If you don't take shelter of Nitai, Nityananda Prabhu or Balaram, and don't get that spiritual strength, Bala is needed to overcome this weakness. If you are weak and there is a person who is more powerful than you, he is pouncing on you, beating you, what you will do? The only way you can defend is if you have strength. Heno Nitai Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paitenai Dridho Kori Dhare Nitai Rapai. To get real understanding of the spiritual subject matter and to be convinced and fixed in that and to do that continuously, it's completely working against the material nature, completely working against the external energy of the Lord. We need Bala. That is why Balaram, Balabhadra, Baladev, all the three names has got Bala. He gives us that Bala. And that Bala, when it comes, then the Jiva can fight, can remain convinced, can remain fixed. Heno Nitai Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paitenai Dridho Kori Dharo Nitai Rapai. Heno Nitai Bine Bhai. Without Nitai, this is impossible. Even though Radharani wants us, we can't go because we are getting pulled by the weaknesses of the heart. So we need this thing, our strength from Balaram. I'll not go here. There are many interesting things. This is a very beautiful verse. I would like to just read this translation and we will read the purport of how Balaram's role is so crucial and pivotal in our life. As long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia, which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely his spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. See, pay attention. As long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia, which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely the spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. In this verse, actually Prabhupada reveals, maybe in this or in the next verse, the trick of Balaram. How does Balaram trick us to overcome this weakness? Because the weakness is so powerful, so strong, that it has kept us eternally conditioned. We're nitya baddha. We are happy in this material world. We're thinking we are happy or we will be happy. So how does Balaram trick? Balaram tricks us by sending his representative in the form of pure devotee and by taking the dust of their lotus feet. That the verse that we were chanting the other day. Bhakta pada dhuli, bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta abases, teen mahabal. Bhakta pada dhuli, bhakta pada jal. The dust of the lotus feet of pure devotee, the charanamrit or the water which is used to wash the lotus feet, and bhakta bhukta abases, the remnants of the pure devotee. Teen mahabal. So let's read this. Which are not under fully. As long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely his spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge. There is a word which is used here called asina. We'll see that. And with the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. In this way, the devotee should be able to merge into his own transcendental bliss, and then he may give up his body and resume his spiritual identity. Let's pay attention to the purport. Significant in this verse are the words Jnanasim Achyuta Balaha. Jnanasim, the sword of knowledge, is given by Krishna. Yes, it is available in the form of scriptures. You can come. Jnanasim. So the Bala or the knowledge is given by Krishna. And when one serves the Guru in Krishna, in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instructions, Balaram gives one strength. Jnana is given in the form of the scriptures. So yesterday or the first day I was telling in the Jhulan Yatra, when the recipient is simple at heart, what is that simplicity at heart? Simplicity at heart is not somebody who is just nodding to what you are saying. Yes, 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 yes. That is not simplicity. Simplicity in the heart is when someone has got unflinching faith in Guru and Sadhu, Guru and Sastra. Scriptures and the spiritual master, one who has 100% faith, unflinching faith. He is a simple person. Otherwise, people, kya hai, 5,000 saal pehle, 500 saal pehle, all kinds of weird doubts. Complications, so much complications in the heart. So when one serves, Shastra is given by Krishna, Jnanasim, the sword of knowledge is given by Krishna. And when one serves the Guru in Krishna, in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instructions, it's the sword. You want to cut the weakness of the heart, use the weapon of the scriptures. So you have to hold this sword. To hold this sword, Balaram gives one strength. Balaram is Nityananda, Brajendra Nandanayai, Sachisuta Hailase, Balaram Hoila Nitai. This Balaram comes with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And both of them are so merciful that in this age of Kali, one may very easily take shelter of their lotus feet. They come especially to deliver the fallen souls of this age. Papi, Tapi, Yata, Chila. Actually, deep within, if we see, who are we? How many years of devotional service we have done? How many years of material enjoyment we have done? How many years? Papi, Tapi, Jata, Chilo. We are extremely fallen. But doesn't matter. Papi, Tapi, Yata, Chilo. Harinam e Uddharila. Their weapon is Sankirtan, Harinam. Thus one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. We are therefore worshipping Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. In the Mukunda Upanishad it is said. Prabhupada actually has established two Krishna Balaram deities in his manifested pastimes. One was in Vrindavan, one is in France. Both the places the devotees wanted Radha Krishna worship. And in both the places Prabhupada said you are not qualified to worship Radha Krishna. Some reasons, because the pure devotee they know. To worship Radha Krishna is also not easy. There is one temple in Vrindavan we go to in Vrindavan. It's called Radha Shyam Sundar Temple. Right? Radha Shyam Sundar Temple was established by one. Which temple? Radha Shyam Sundar Temple. It is established by Shyamananda Pandit. Shyamananda Pandit was personally blessed by Radharani. Her anklet or something that she gave. Personally, she came and gave it to Shyamananda Pandit. This Shyamananda Pandit, he was a preacher, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit, and Srinivas Thakur. They were the ones who spreaded this message of Jiva Goswami after they left the Goswamis, 6 Goswamis. This Shyamananda Pandit, his main ashram that he has made is in a place called Gopi Vallabhapur in Bengal. He has established Krishna Balaram deities. Because you need Bala. Kali Yuga people, even to engage in Radha Krishna service is not some ordinary thing. We think we are doing something very nice by just decorating or doing something that we think appropriate. We might be committing so many offenses. Their weapon is Sankirtan, Harinam, thus one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. We are therefore worshipping Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. In the Mundaka Upanishad it is said, Naya Matma Balahinena Labhyo, Nacha Paramadat Tapaso Vapi Alingat, Eter Upayar Yatate Yastu Vidvams, Tasyeva Atma Vishate Brahmadham. One cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Nitaira Karuna Have Braje Radha Krishna Pave. When one receives the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Se sambandha nahi yar vritha janma gelotar, vidya kulehi karivatar. If one has no connection with Nitai, Balaram, then even though one is a very learned scholar or jnani, or has taken birth in a very respectable family, these assets will not help him. We must therefore conquer the enemies of Krishna consciousness with the strength received from Balaram. I'll close with one last this thing. This is the instruction which fearless Prahlad, 5-year-old boy, is giving to the most powerful man, his own father. Most powerful. By raising his eyebrows, even the demigods in heaven used to have miscarriage. Oh, Hiranyakashipu is looking at us. So, and they are having this conversation. It's a very interesting conversation. So Prahlad is telling, Matirna Krishna Parata Swatoba. Eternally conditioned soul, all of us, our mati, our attraction to Krishna never goes. Not by our own efforts, not by any external efforts. Matirna Krishna Parata Swatoba. Mithobi Padyeta Grihavratana. Mithobi Padyeta. Somebody says, okay, not Parataha or Swato, maybe a combination? No, even combination also will not work. Matirna Krishna Parata Swatoba Mithobi Padyeta Grihavratanam. Why? Because we are Grihavrata. Whether we are a brahmachari, sannyasi, vanaprastha, grihastha, attraction to our family members, relatives, or whatever it is there. Grihavratanam. Matirna Krishna Parato Swatoba Mithobi Padyeta Grihavratanam. Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamishram Punah Punascharvita Charvanana. Adanta Gobhir is this uncontrolled senses. Vishatam Tamishram is pulling us repeatedly. Though we are getting slapped, kicked by Maya again and again, we still are getting attracted. Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamishram Punah Punascharvita Charvanana. Oh, शुगर केन का वो जूस निकल जाने के बाद भी उसको चबा चबा के हम सोचते हैं some juice will come out of it. No, there is a hope. No, let's try this way, that way. Punah punascharvita charvanana. Then he says, Nate vidhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu durasayaya bahirartha manina andha yathandeher upaniyamana stepi shatantriyam muradam nibaddha. Nate vidhu swarthagatim. So Adanta Govir Visatam Tamishram, eternally conditioned soul, they don't know their real goal is Vishnu. Durasaya bahirartha manina. And all external things they're looking. Where is happiness? Where is I? This is my goal. This is my goal. Repeatedly getting failure. Durasaya bahir. So hope against hope. Durasaya bahirartha manina. Andha yatandher upaniyamana stepi shatantriyam muradam nibaddha. We are following a blind man. We are being led by a blind man who goes and falls into a ditch. And that's how I have been taking bodies after bodies. Tepi shatantriyam urudam nibaddha. By the karma bandha, we are getting bound and accepting different bodies. One question here, the acharyas, they make it as a conversation between Prahlad and what is his name? Hiranyakashipu. So, Hiranyakashipu apparently at this time is asking, see, I could get this tapabala, I did so much of austerity, I could please Brahma, I could get his strength, I could get all this strength from his boon, from his benediction. Can't I get this from Vishnu? At that time, Prahlad says very interestingly, Naisham matistavad urukramangrim sprishyati anartha upagamam yadartha mahiyasam pado rajobhishekam niskinjananam na vrinita yavad. Naisam matistavad uru. You can't do it. You have physical strength. You are the most opulent. You are the most powerful. The three worlds, everybody is scared of you, but you can't do. You can't chant the names of the Lord. Why? Mahiyasam pado rajobhishekam niskinjananam na vrinita yavat. Only by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and His pure devotees. Mahiyasam pada rajobhishekam. This is the trick of Balaram. If you want the strength, if you want to get that spiritual strength to hold the sword of this scriptural injunctions, take the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Take the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees of the Lord. That will, unless you have that, you will not have the strength to continue. Mahiyasam pada rajobhishekam niskinjananam na vrinita yavat. These are some of the thoughts. I would like to say, okay, very interesting, okay, and 12. Asam maho charana renu jusam aham shyam vrindavane kim api gulma lato sadhinam ya dustyajam swajanam arya patham cha hitva bhejur mukunda padavim srutibhir memagyam. This verse is spoken by Uddhav when he goes to Vrindavan. So we know that the Brajavasis or the gopis of Krishna are the most exalted devotees of Krishna. And Uddhav was apparently sent to console, to pacify these gopis, the Brajavasis. So when he went there and when he saw that, all these gopis were in completely dissolved positions, hair is open, they don't know even whether it is sun, whether it is day or night, only constantly absorbed in Krishna, fully. Uddhav's idea was that he was thinking probably they are feeling the separation of Krishna and that is why they are lamenting. That's what even all of us we will think. Krishna never went back to Vrindavan. And that is why these gopis and the Brajavasis were lamenting. But you know what? What our acharyas, what our scriptures tell? Uddhav realized that they are alive only and only for one reason, for the pleasure of Krishna. That transformed his heart. He was thinking they are lamenting because Krishna is not there. I mean, River Yamuna was still there, Govardhan Hill was there, they could have committed suicide, they could have finished. They were alive only for the pleasure of Krishna. When he understood that, he said, let me become a gulma, a small, like a shrub or one grass over here, so that they can trample on me and I become purified and understand what is the mood of serving. That's what I was saying. You look at even the Ashta Sakhis, the 4 Sakhis, this side, that side, Lalita, Vishakha, Tungabhadra, Sudevi, all of them. They are fully absorbed on Krishna. Krishna is not looking what service we are doing. He is looking at with what mood we are doing. Ya dustejyam sojanma arya patham chahitva bhejur mukunda padavim shrutivir vimirgyam. Without the dust of lotus feet of the pure devotee, we will not get that bhava. And that dust of the lotus feet of pure devotee is a protection for us. Otherwise, there is always the tendency to become independent and do things on our own. The shelter comes when we are there under the protection of a pure devotee. And Balaram's representative do that. And that is the trick of Balaram, Kaushala, Balaram's Kaushala. Is that. We'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. First is the desire to lord over material nature. And the second one is, because of that, we get away from devotional service and develop attachment to matter and material possessions. This is what fifth chapter, last verse, purport, Prabhupada explains. And one has to overcome this. That's why they are the weaknesses of heart. Why? Because since how long we have been here, we don't know. Anadi karama phale divanesi hiva jale. Anadi. Anadi means there is no beginning. We are here. This body after another body, and this body. So it is eternally conditioned. If you look back and trace, when did I come here? Difficult to find. So, but unfortunately that feeling, that doesn't stay with us. But whereas if you see these pure devotees, they write these songs, like especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur, Prabhupada says their songs have got all the conclusions of Vedic literatures. They say, Amara Jivan Sada Pape Rata. Nahi to Punya Relation. Amara Jivan Sada Pape Rata. We think we are very pure devotee, we are some almost like become one this thing, but they always think actually there is no trace of any sinful proclivities or tendencies in them. They are writing so that we get this. Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata Nahita Punya Ralesh. This is what our life is. We are eternally conditioned, eternally we have desires to enjoy. That's the truth. We don't want to expose this to the world. At least before the Lord we should be open. We should be honest. Bahut din ho gaya. I have all these anarthas, all these things. I'm not able to overcome. We don't even know what to pray. Actually, there is a very beautiful prayer. I don't have it handy right now. I'll share it in the evening. Very beautiful prayer. It's offered by Dhruva Maharaj in his prayers when he was killing the yakshas indiscriminately and he was stopped. He offers a prayer. He says, I'm a small boy. I don't even know what is good for me, but you are my father. You kindly bestow, you kindly bless me what is right for me. Because I don't know even what to ask. That should be the mood. Because we ask only the wrong things. कितना भी हम पढ़ लें, ये कर लें, हरे कृष्णा मंत्र जप कर लें, दीक्षित हो जाएं, फिर भी हमको हमारा मटेरियल इनसिक्योरिटी बहुत रहता है अंदर. घर चाहिए, बच्चा चाहिए, जॉब चाहिए, सब चाहिए. थोड़ा इधर उधर हो जाता है, we get this thing. We should have full faith on Krishna, on his plan. We should have full conviction. So we don't know what to ask. That prayer, Dhruva Maharaj says, I am a small boy. I really don't know what is good for me. Oh Lord, you are my father. Kindly bestow me what is really good for me. Anyway, those are some of the things. We'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Balaram Jayanti Mahamotsav ki.